What's up? What's going on, y'all? This is another WWE video from Exotic Sports, and we just gonna get right into it. This is the history of the United States Championship from the year 2004. This is one of my favorite years for the United States Championship. This is my favorite championship in WWE, and we're just gonna kick it off. Big Show came into the year as champion. Big Show going into or coming out of 2003 was not the best champion, and it didn't get any better in 2004, I'll tell you right now. He was still just really the bodyguard of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was in a feud with Hardcore Holly over the WWE title. Hardcore wasn't able to win the title, but then he entered a feud with the Big Show, and he actually beat the Big Show in I think it was a street fight. Made him pass out with a steel chair. But after that, though, they ended up having a U.S. title match, which was rare. At this time, was rare for the Big Show to have a U.S. title match. It was really rare, honestly. And another thing that I want to touch on from the 2003 video, Eddie Guerrero actually had a U.S. title defense against Charlie Haas and someone else. I forget who it was. In one night, I think it might have been Rhino. I think it was Rhino. He faced Rhino and Charlie Haas on the same night. Or no, I'm tweaking. Maybe it was something like that. But Eddie Guerrero did something where he defended two titles in one night. It might have been the tag titles and the U.S. title, but nonetheless, I needed to touch on that from that U.S. title video. Nonetheless, Big Show came into the year as champion, like I said, successfully defeated Hardcore Holly for the title, and that was really his only title defense in 2004 up until WrestleMania. So, at the Royal Rumble, Big Show eliminated John Cena, and that injured John Cena's ankle. John Cena was out for not too long. He was still able to be on SmackDown, but he was in a cast type shit. Well, the next pay-per-view was a SmackDown exclusive, and it was No Way Out. And at that pay-per-view, it was the U.S. Champion, The Big Show, John Cena, and Kurt Angle in a triple threat match. Winner goes on to WrestleMania to face Eddie Guerrero for the WWE Championship in a, it was, the WWE title number one contender match. And in the match, Cena's ankle was still, I'm not sure if it was 100% healed in real life, but they were playing it off like it wasn't. And in the end, Kurt Angle ended up winning. I believe he made Cena tap out. I believe that's how he won. Nonetheless, though, Big Show was the U.S. champion at this time, and him and Cena developed the feud because I believe Big Show blamed Cena for his loss or whatever, and Cena was tired of hearing Big Show's mouth. And I remember Cena came out and said, "Hey, Big Show, let's just have a match at WrestleMania, dude." And that's exactly what they did. They had a match at WrestleMania 20. The bill was pretty good. It was really just your standard, mid-card championship build to WrestleMania. Decent, better than what it usually is during the year, but it was pretty good. And John Cena ended up winning the U.S. Championship from the Big Show, and that was really cool. John Cena, and I'm pretty sure he got his rematch I'm pretty sure Big Show got his rematch against John Cena on SmackDown, which he was unable to win that as well. Anyway, that is going to kick us into John Cena. And John Cena is going to be a big part of the United States Championship's history in 2004. Okay? So, John Cena wins the U.S. title at WrestleMania 20. I'm not 100% sure if Big Show got his rematch, but I think he did, and Cena beat him. Anyway, Cena kind of got into, he wasn't really doing much in April because the SmackDown pay-per-view wasn't until May. So I remember he was facing Chavo Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero Sr. in matches, and he was winning those matches. You know, he was getting wins as U.S. champion. They was obviously making John Cena into the next star. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, he ends up getting into a feud with Rene Dupree right off the bat. And they ended up feuding. Tori Wilson was kind of involved, the female Tori Wilson. And they was kind of involved. She was kind of involved. And they ended up getting into a feud of the U.S. title. I don't remember how. Renee defeated somebody to become number one contender. And they had a match at Judgment Day. And Cena ended up defeating Rene Dupree to win the U.S. title. A lot of people say that this buried Rene Dupree. I disagree, man. Rene Dupree wasn't ready. John Cena was next up. John Cena needed that United States Championship, in my opinion. You feel me? So, we're at John Cena right now. John Cena in the month of May defeated Rene Dupree to retain the U.S. title. So, we get to June. Now, in the month of June, John Cena and Kurt Angle, that's when they start to have issues. You know, slight issues, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, he starts getting into feuds with guys like Booker T. Guys like, and he was still feuding with Rene Dupree at the time, but Booker T would end up joining in the feud. And Rob Van Dam, who also already had beef with Booker T, he was also involved in the feud. He ended up getting involved in the feud. And Kurt Angle, who had beef with John Cena in the past, obviously, you know, over the month of June, you know, it had built up. July came along, and that was the next SmackDown pay-per-view, which was the Great American Bash, and that was where John Cena defended the United States Championship against RVD, Booker T, and Rene Dupree. And I do want to touch on John Cena faced, it was either a 3-on-1 handicap match or it was a gauntlet match on SmackDown against RVD, Booker T, and Rene Dupree, and I'm pretty sure he won. So, you know, they were really like, you know, what I'm saying, trying to say is, they was pushing John Cena. You know, they were really making him into a star, even though he was just a U.S. champion. The U.S. Championship should be taken seriously, you know what I'm saying? And at the Great American Bash, when he faced RVD, Booker T, and Rene Dupree, it was a 4-way elimination match, and people don't like this pay-per-view. It's not the best pay-per-view, but I do really like this match, and John Cena retained, and I think the right guy retained. And very, very much so, and that was at the end of June. We get to, and I think I messed up the dates there. I'm sorry, guys. That was actually at the end of June that happened. It was the month after. We get into the month of July. I was saying that the Great American Bash was in July. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so high. But anyway, we get into the month of July. John Cena is still U.S. champion, and his beef with Kurt Angle still going on. Well, John Cena, he goes to strike somebody, and he ends up fucking around and hitting Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle ends up stripping John Cena of the United States Championship. This was actually a really good storyline. He strips him of the title and puts it up in a battle royal, but he adds John Cena into that battle royal just to give him a chance for the title. And I thought that was pretty cool. But in the end, Booker T ends up winning the battle royal, and he becomes the United States champion, and that's what happens in the end. John Cena, though, is he's still in the chase for the title. So this is what spawned the feud between, the underrated feud, in my opinion, between Booker T and John Cena in 2004 for the United States Championship. Now, that was in July. We go into August, and then you know, they're still feuding. They're having the best of 5 series. It could have been a best of 7, but I'm pretty sure it was a best of 5. They go into a best of 5 series. They have a match at SummerSlam where John Cena defeats Booker T, but it wasn't the end of the series though. The end of the series actually, the series continued on SmackDown, of course. The end of the series actually ended at No Mercy 2004, where John Cena defeated Booker T and finally regained the United States Championship. like I said, building up John Cena, man. John Cena was the man back then. You know, he was that guy that they needed to build the company around. In my opinion, you know, great guy, one of the greatest. He won the title again. He was a 2-time champion. With that being said, John Cena, the next episode of SmackDown was 4 days later on Thursday, and it was in Massachusetts. And he was making his big return to Massachusetts. Well, see, in the weeks prior to just in the weeks prior to SmackDown before this episode, there had been video packages hyping up the debut of one young Carlito. If y'all remember Carlito, I'm fucking with y'all. I know y'all know Carlito. So Carlito, he ends up, you know, after these video packages, he ends up finally making his debut on the SmackDown after No Mercy. And he comes out and he interrupts John Cena, and he tells John Cena he's a thug and he's all that. And, you know, he spits in his face, and he actually, you know, gets the best of John Cena. He DDTs him on the title, I think he spits in his face, you know. Carlito made a really good impression when he first came in. And he challenged John Cena to a U.S. title match later that night. And Carlito ended up using the steel chain, hitting John Cena with it, and defeating John Cena for the U.S. title. I was not watching wrestling at the time. If I was, I'm not sure how shocking this was, but I'd have to say it was pretty shocking to have a guy that, yeah, you knew that he had like these, you know, video packages, you know, coming through. But you didn't know that when he had his very first match, he was going to win a title. It would have been like Alberto Del Rio back in the day with those vignettes of him in the house, you know, with the nice cars. It would have been like him coming in and challenging, you know, whoever was like, you know, I don't know, like Kofi Kingston for the Intercontinental title and winning it in his debut. You know, like not the worst thing to do. You know, I think is actually benefits the person. It really could. It ended up kind of not benefiting Carlito in the end, I guess, in hindsight, but I believe it would benefit more than not benefit. But anyway, I'm rambling. Carlito wins the U.S. title, and he doesn't defend it because what happened was he gets his arm, he gets hurt in the match. So his whole title run lasted 42 days, and his entire title run was he had a bodyguard named Jesus that debuted, and John Cena was taken out the week after he lost the U.S. title at a nightclub, and it was suspected that Carlito's bodyguard Jesus stabbed him. I believe this was supposed to be New Jack. It wasn't supposed to be Jesus as Carlito's bodyguard. It was supposed to be New Jack, but Vince McMahon realized New Jack had like real charges, like New Jack, you know, he's a real one, so you know he didn't want to fuck with that. So they brought in this guy from California named I don't know his real name, but they called him Jesus, and he was his bodyguard, and he was accused of stabbing John Cena at a nightclub. So Carlito's entire title run was basically being accused of, you know, taking John Cena out, you know, his kidneys fucked up. So, but nonetheless, Carlito gets selected to be on Team Kurt Angle for Survivor Series. What happens is it's a 4-on-4, but at the pay-per-view, I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if somebody had to get replaced on Team Guerrero, but nonetheless, it was Team Guerrero and Team Angle at Survivor Series, and John Cena ended up, I think it might have been Bradshaw, I'm not sure, but anyway, John Cena ended up coming out and was the fourth man on Team Guerrero, and him and Carlito didn't even enter the match. John Cena chased Carlito out of the building, busted up Carlito's arm even more, broke it, you know, she straight broke it to where it was in a sling, you know what I'm saying? You know, matter of fact, I don't even think his, you know, arm was broke prior to this. I think I think they had him in matches, but they'd have him in matches against like people that were like scrubs, you know what I'm saying? So he just get easy wins. But nonetheless, the Survivor Series, Cena broke his arm, and then it was the SmackDown after Survivor Series, you know, because Cena returned at Survivor Series. SmackDown at the Survivor Series, Cena wasn't playing around. He got his rematch for the U.S. title, and he, before the match started, he just took that steel chair and just beat the shit out of that arm that he had broke of Carlito. And he put Carlito in the ring and hit him with the FU, and he pinned him in record time. And this wasn't you think like, oh, they don't think much of Carlito. This wasn't that. Carlito was actually injured at the time. He actually had a legitimate shoulder injury that they just made it into like an actual storyline, but it was legit shoulder injury. So he couldn't actually have a match. So that was the only way to get the title off of him, and they didn't want to vacate it again because they had just vacated it with Cena a couple months ago in storyline. So even though this was real deal, whatever. So, but he could take a FU. So he took a FU and Cena won the title back. So Jesus kind of takes the role of the guy who's challenging Cena for the title for the rest of the year. And we're at November 2004, so we're really ending, getting to the end of this video here. At the end of 2004, John Cena is still feuding with Carlito, but it's more Jesus because Jesus is the one who stabbed John Cena. Cena came back knowing that Carlito took his title. So that was his first business, was to get the title back. His second business was to worry about the dude who stabbed him in the nightclub, who was Jesus. Okay? So at that time, it was time for him and Jesus to beef. So at Armageddon 2004, they ended up having a street fight, and John Cena, Jesus didn't get a lot of offense in, let's just say that. And Carlito was there, but he had an arm brace on. He couldn't really do much. And John Cena, he beat the shit out of Jesus. I thought it was a pretty good match. And John Cena retained the U.S. title, and that was actually the night of the debut of the United States Championship, the Spinner Championship, the one that spun, the one that said U.S. Champ on it, the sparkling one, the original spinner belt before the WWE Championship spinner belt. You know what I'm saying? So he defeated Jesus that night, and for the rest of the year, I'm not sure if John Cena defended the title. He might have defended it against maybe a Rene Dupree, Kenzo Suzuki. Not sure. I don't think he did. But John Cena, don't get me wrong, great reigns. And we're at the end of the video now, so we're gonna go ahead and rate these reigns. We finally get to get the final reign of Big Show's reign. I'm gonna give Big Show a C- as U.S. champion. Not the worst U.S. champion, but damn, you barely defended it, dude. Yeah, you was in the main event type shit, but you barely defended it. C- for you, Big Show. Alright, I love you, but 6- for your U.S. title run. John Cena, when you won it from Big Show and you had it for that first time until you got it vacated, I'm going to give you an A. Booker T, when you won it from John Cena and you had it for your during the Best of 5 series, as brief as it was and as forgettable, not forgettable, just people don't really remember it too well, so I guess it's kind of forgettable. I'm gonna give you a B-. Good title run though. Booker T's always great. John Cena, let me tell you something right now. Your 4-day title reign, I'm gonna give you an F. I'm sorry. That's gonna bring you down, bro. You had it for 4 days. You lost it to a dude who made his debut. Yeah, he cheated, but let's be real. John Cena, if you watching this, you can agree that was an F, and that's fine. That's fine. It happens. It happens, bro. It happens. Okay? Anyway, Carlito, you won the title from John Cena. You had it for 42 days. I don't believe you had a title defense until you defended it against John Cena, and if you did, I can't remember. You might. I believe you might have had some matches in between. I'm going to give you a C-. I'm gonna put you on par with the Big Show, just because of the storyline with Jesus, and it was very entertaining. Nonetheless, the U.S. title Didn't get defended as much, but it was in a prolific storyline about somebody who got stabbed, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give you a C-. I'm going to put you on par with the Big Show, even though that's not saying much. Because your title run was not good, dog. But I'm putting you on par with the Big Show, who actually had a decent title run. So I'm giving it to you. Anyway. And John Cena. We're not going to get to the end of John Cena's next title run. So that's going to do it for this video. That'll be the 2004 history of the United States Championship. And we're going to see you in the next one. We're going to get into 2005, and John Cena's walking in as champ. See you in the next one, man. It's Sports.